Hey guys, it's me, Cynthia. Um, just wanted to do a quick update with y'all. So if y'all saw my last video, I'm not sure if y'all did. I am pregnant. So after all these years, I am finally pregnant. Um, Most of y'all know when I started my weight loss journey in 2012, my purpose at that time was to get pregnant and have a baby. Along the way, I want to say years later, I was able to get custody of my nephew, and we took him as our own. We had him when he was 6 months, so he filled that void that I had in my life. Um, Along my way, my journey. We're in 2018 now. You know, um, I'm not sure. I think it was the last time I took a pregnancy test. Um, it was probably like 4 years ago, maybe. And I remember I took that pregnancy test and it was negative as usual. And I told myself that would be the last time I ever take a pregnancy test. And um, I, I like my hope, my faith in having a baby just gave up that day. I remember I had a little girl's dress hanging in my closet. I was just acting in faith, and I went, I got rid of it, and I didn't want it anymore. And I think after that last month, I just gave up on having a baby. I convinced myself that I didn't want it, and I was happy with the way things were now, and with my baby, my baby Daniel. I was okay with that. So it was just us three. And, I started my Zumba. I became a Zumba instructor. I, my Z Fitness home, my studio, was able to, we're going to be 2 years already. I was able to get my own studio with my best friend. Um, and my focus changed, and having a baby was the last thing in my head, or I didn't ever think about it again. Um, I remember January this year. Um, I went to church service for New Year's and my life changed. I've always been a girl of faith. I grew up in a Christian home, a Christian family, and mom started attending a new church with new pastors who I love. And, I went, and I remember um, I went up to the altar to get prayed for, and the pastor prophesied to me. He told me God was going to give me a family this year. And when he told me, I kind of brushed it off. It wasn't, I, something I didn't think was in my head or in my heart anymore. And he said it, and I was like, okay, I was told that a long time ago and it never happened. And I guess I was a little disappointed, but one thing I learned is when God tells you something, you should always write it down and always believe and have faith in that word, because it might not happen a year from today or a year from then or whatever, but it will happen. If it was from God, it will happen. Well, my pastor told me that day. It was, I think, yeah, New Year's. No, it was the following week. And I took friends with me and they heard. So I was like, okay, he told me, and I kind of, just, went on. January, I started my weight loss journey again. I was very focused, and I remember February came along, and I started feeling nausea, but I wasn't thinking anything. Nothing in my head was thinking pregnancy. I was taking a pre-workout in the mornings, so I was thinking, man, this pre-workout is just not doing good for me anymore. Let me switch it. So I think I switched it like 3 times, um, because I was feeling sick. Well, um, it was in February on the Sunday. I went to church Sunday evening, and the pastor again prophesied to me. And this is exactly what he told me and how he told me. He said, what God has promised you and what he promised you will be confirmed this week. This week, you're going to get God's going to give your husband a confirmation, and he's going to confirm to both of y'all what he promised you. So I was like, okay, at first when he told me he was going to give me a confirmation, I thought something with my studio, we were having a hard time at that time. So I was like, yeah. But when he said to you and your husband, I was like, So that evening, it did. That evening, it went through my head. I was like, no, but no, it just can't happen. So then through Monday came, Tuesday came. Tuesday night after Zumba class in the evening, I was doing 2 hours of workout because I was really on my weight loss journey. So I remember I felt sick again. And I got home. My husband was in the living room. And I told him, babe, did I tell you what God told me in January? He said no. So I told him what God told me. And and then on this Sunday, he told me he was going to confirm it to me and you. And he's like, well, did I tell you that yesterday I had a dream that we were coming out of the hospital with our baby that we have now, Daniel. Well, he's not a baby, he's a big boy, but he's always gonna be my baby. He goes, and we had to go back in there to get our baby. And he goes, I dreamt we had a baby. And I was like, okay. So I didn't want to I don't know what it is. I don't doubt God. I guess after so many years, you kind of just, let it go. I don't know. But he told me that. So I was like, okay, we left it alone. Didn't talk about it no more. So I think that was Tuesday or Wednesday. So then, Friday comes, and, I went to go eat after Zumba. Well, I went to go eat after Zumba with my best friend for lunch. And I remember her, we finished, time to go home. So I was driving home and had to stop to throw up. So I was like, you know what, Cynthia, just go buy a test. Just get it out of your head. So I drive and I go to Walgreens. And I remember, it's so weird how I remember exactly every step from the moment I got off the truck. I remember each step I took. So as I'm getting off, going in through the doors, and I'm walking towards the aisle, I'm like, what are you doing, Cynthia? What are you doing? And something in me, and I know it was God telling me, you already know it's time. And I'm like, I'm thinking to myself, it's me now. And I got the pregnancy test. My hands were shaking, and I was like, oh my God, I'm just so nervous. I don't know why, but I think it's because inside me, I maybe knew, or I don't know. So I got the test, went to register, paid for it. Okay, time to go home. And I knew at the moment nobody was home. So I rushed to get home before anybody got there. And I get home, and then my husband ended up getting home early. He was getting a haircut. He made it home earlier. So I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't want to tell him anything because I was tired of telling them, I'm pregnant, and then I'm pregnant. So I didn't want to do that anymore. So he got there. I was like, what are you doing? He's like, I just got home. I was like, okay, why don't you go use the restroom? I had the test in a bag. I have a gym bag that I carry around. So I went in the restroom, did the process, and I dipped it in there. And I remember I kind of turned, and then just a split second turned back, and I could see the first line. I turned back, and 2 lines, I was like, no. And I look, and positive, it meant positive. And I was like, I just couldn't believe it. And at that moment, I did call my best friend, because my best friend had been pushing me to take a test, but I just wouldn't do it. And I was so shocked. And I remember I saw that test. I was like, no, something I don't know. It's just so hard to believe it, so hard. So the thing is that me and my husband weren't trying. I mean, I guess we weren't using protection, but it was more of the way God worked through this. And, it's more God, the way God did it. So I took the test, and I remember calling my best friend, and I'm sort of panicking, and I wasn't ready to tell my husband because I wanted to get it. I wanted to make sure it was real. So I was like, let me call the doctor and see if I could go to the doctor or whatever. So I went to the doctor, and congratulations, Cynthia, you're pregnant. And so, turns out I was 6 weeks pregnant. Today I am 10 weeks pregnant. I'm gonna be 11 weeks on Monday, and it's I I'm having a hard time. Even after I saw the ultrasound, I heard the baby's heartbeat. I have all the symptoms, and I know I am pregnant, but it's so hard to accept it. I don't know, not accept the baby, but I don't know how to explain it. But I just pray everything does turn out right. And I just wanted to share this testimony because it was God. God knows why, it didn't happen before. And I think it's true. A lot of people tell me our focus was to focus on my little boy who we have that is 8 years old. Our focus was him for 8 years, and God said it's time now. So October 2018, we're gonna be welcoming another baby. I don't know what it is, a boy or girl, but whatever it is, we're waiting. And I thank God, and I just wanted to share this with y'all. And as far as my weight loss journey, it's a little bit more difficult just because I know it's probably in my head, but I'm hungry constantly. But I still do my Zumba. I still have my Zumba class in the morning. So I'm still trying to do Zumba. So doctor approved it, said it was fine. Do it as much as I can until I can listen to my body. So I'm being careful, and just be praying for me and my baby gummy bear. And just pray for us and for any other woman out there who has gone through infertility issues. Don't give up. Don't give up. I mean, or maybe you should give up, and give up trying to fight it yourself and just leave it to God, because God knows, God knows when, and God knew when for me. The moment I decided to give it up, and it was a lot more better. I was a lot more unmiserable, than when I'm trying and I fail. I'm trying and I fail. But I gave it up, and God took control of it. God said, I got this. So keep your faith, keep believing, and I'm only proof that miracles do happen. So I'll keep y'all updated as I get more progress or get further along. All right, guys. Bye.